Here we go, the teller coming right at you once again. Going to be breaking down UFC Fight Night 151 live from Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. We got Ali Quinta and Donald Cowboy Cerrone in the main event. Got a couple good fights here and there, a couple shitty fights. But what can we say? As long as we got UFC fights going, I love watching them, and we'll find a way to make money on at least one or two of these fights. That's what I do. But before we even get into UFC Fight Night 151, let's take a look back at last week, UFC Fight Night 150. Right in my backyard, as I stated, over here in Sunrise, Florida. Of course, I won some money once again. Went very big on Jack Hermansson. Had a 7-unit play. Those of you guys that follow me on CapperTech, third-party tracked, official bets. Third-party tracked, Jack Hermansson, I went in on that shit. I got him at plus 175. I had to go in. At those types of odds, I knew at the worst-case scenario that was a 50-50 fight, I'm taking those odds all day. And I thought that was Jack's fight to win, period. So that's why I went in on it like that. I like the way he looked at the weigh-ins, everything, man. He was pumped up. So that was excellent to hit. Besides that, my other play was Roosevelt Roberts, who was taking on the scrub, what was his name? Thomas Gifford, who actually showed up. I'll be honest with you guys. That guy Gifford, I got a little bit of respect for him. He showed up and made that fight a little bit closer than I thought it would be. I thought that Roberts was going to smoke him. But, it was Gifford who was the one that was actually kind of walking Roosevelt down in the third round, which I was very surprised to see. But nevertheless, of course, Roosevelt, he dominated the first 2 rounds, and it was easily his fight. Unanimous decision. So, 30-27 all the way around. And I had him parlayed with Rory McDonald, who was taking on John Fitch, which I cannot believe the way that fight unraveled. Crazy. Really, it all came down to the third round, I believe. It was the third round, however you wanted to score that. I thought Rory won that fight. Thought he won that round. He had the more significant strikes, was stuffing takedowns in the beginning of the round, smashing him with side hammer fist, preventing the takedown. Eventually, yes, Fitch did get the takedown, but he did absolutely nothing with it. Just literally sat in his lap. And that's what he did for the 4th and 5th as well. But, nevertheless, if you can't stuff the takedown, you're going to lose rounds like that. If Fitch takes you down and he lays on you the entire round, you're going to lose. But I still had Rory winning that 4th round. Crazy how that ended up being a draw. But for those of you guys that are not amateurs, you know what happens in this situation. The fight ends up being nullified. It's voided. It never happened. If it was a straight bet, you get your money back. If it's a parlay, you still win the money on the other guy that you placed a bet on. In my case, it was a 2-team parlay. So it would be just as you placed that wager just singly on Roosevelt Roberts. So, it wasn't the biggest hit because I got him at minus 350 or whatnot, but I still made money on him, and I made a lot of money on Jack Hermansson. So overall, a lot of haters like to talk shit, here and there on Instagram, but at the end of the day, it was another profitable weekend for the MMA fortune teller. So, and also, for those of you guys that keep up on my Instagram, how crazy was that, man? Got to meet Dana White, Matt Serra. They were filming Dana White's Looking for a Fight show over there in Sunrise, right off 95. That was a great fucking time, man. I was running around that arena. I wouldn't call it an arena, really. It was just a little hole in the wall. But I was running around the fucking cage like a kid in a candy store, man, wasted, pounding drinks, buying fighters shots. Everybody out there knew the teller, man. People were taking pictures with me. It was a blast, bro. It was a real blast. I saw Ashley Evans Smith out there. She bought me a drink, which was very sweet of her. Shout out to Ashley Evans Smith. Who else did we meet? Douglas Lima we met at the weigh-ins the day before. I met with Roosevelt Roberts right after the weigh-ins, man. Had an extensive conversation with him on how I felt he was going to win that fight and some of the holes that I saw in Thomas Gifford's game, which was awesome, man. You got big money on this guy, and I love doing that, man. Just having a conversation with the guy, picking his brain, and he was respecting some of the things I saw. He knew I knew what I was talking about, and it was great meeting him. Bumped into Andre Sukumtat, taking a piss in the bathroom. Didn't want to tell him how I faded him and made some money off him a couple weeks ago with what's his name, Montel Jackson. So we just kept it simple, man. We're a really nice guy. Who else we see? Douglas Lima, Andre Sukumtat, Matt Serra, fucking Dana White, Santiago Ponzinibbio. I didn't even post that up there yet, man. Really cool dude. Santiago, very cool dude. Saw Greg Hardy. Spoke with Hardy for a little bit. I told him, I said, I know you're going to knock that dude, man. I knocked that dude out. There was no doubt in my mind. He knew it, too, and we talked about it. It was a fucking joke. An absolute layup. But I didn't even touch that fight. It's just, I don't know about that guy Hardy. After the disqualification he had in his last fight, I don't know where his mind's at, so we stayed away from that. Also, man, how about DP, Dustin Poirier, man? Saw him and he was with his family. Really cool guy. Talked a little bit about the Khabib fight that's coming up for him. He says he has that fight all day. He's stuffing takedowns and picking them apart in the feet, so that was cool to catch up with DP. Hopefully I'm not forgetting, I bumped in a couple other different guys, but overall, man, just a hell of a weekend. For a guy like me, it was just like a kid being at the playground, just having a ball, man. Had my flask filled up to the rim, running around the arena. My plastic flask, because they put you through the metal detector, so my little plastic flask, hammering shots, fucking just collecting money. By the time the last fight came on, man, Jack Hermansson, when he was dominating that fight, me and my boys were pretty much the only ones cheering for him. If you run the fight back and you listen to the background, that's the teller that you hear screaming in the background because the whole arena was just fucking pitch quiet. Everyone was rooting for the Brazilian, typical South Florida. But, I'm one of the last of the Mohicans, rooting for my European Viking dude out there, representing. But, and he put more money in my pocket, so what can I say? Hell of a fucking weekend. Highly recommend you guys get out to these fights and enjoy them, whenever you get a chance, because it is a fucking blast. But nevertheless, let's start moving on. We'll begin to break down UFC Fight Night 151. Let's do it. Let's get right into the first fight of the night. We got Mitch Gagnon. I'm not putting a little French twist on his last name. I'm just pronouncing it America style. So taking on Cole Smith. 6-0, undefeated, has a lot of finishes on his record, 5'11", so pretty tall for the weight class, very confident. If you look at his interviews, very confident dude. So we'll see what the Cole train's talking about in this fight, man, making his UFC debut. He has submissions, TKOs in his record. He only went to decision once, but again, not a lot of fights in his record, so we got to see what he's really about now. And this guy, Mitch Gagnon, it's been a long layoff. He hasn't fought in the UFC, or for that matter, hasn't had a mixed martial arts fight in a long time. So coming off 2 losses to Renan Barão, Matthew Lopez, Barão was washed up and Matthew Lopez really ain't shit. But you got to watch the submission potential because Gagnon has a lot of subs and he could snatch a neck up, rear naked choke, guillotine. He does have that type of potential. But I will be going with the newcomer Cole Smith, just based off his potential, his height, his size, his confidence, and some of the stuff I've seen on tape. Decent hands. We're gonna go with Cole Smith to win this fight. All right, moving to the next fight, we got Big Juan Adams, the 285-pounder, if not more at sometimes when he's eating all his Snickers, taking on the Olympian Arjan Bueller. A lot of people like to correlate the word Olympian with this guy. I don't know what his exact Olympic credentials are. I don't know if he's quite on the status with some of the other Olympians I've seen inside the mixed martial arts cage, but nevertheless, he is an Olympian. I'm sure that's factual, but I think this fight's going to come down straight to cardio. I hope that Juan Adams worked on his cardio because if he didn't, it's going to be a problem. In his last fight against Chris De La Rocha, you saw how he looked in the late rounds of that fight, man. Towards the end of the second, the third round, he was gassing out. Definitely has heavy hands, so he has a chance to finish this fight early, even on the feet or on the ground. He might tag Arjan with something and, take him down and maybe get some heavy-ass ground and pound on him. But if he's not able to put Arjan away, I think Arjan's just going to push the pace and just keep coming. I think Arjan has very good cardio. And doesn't have the best of power, but he'll keep coming. He'll keep throwing his hands. He'll keep trying to tag you up. He got subbed in his last fight against Adam Wizarek, the Polish dude. But that should be nothing that we have to worry about in this fight. Juan Adams ain't submitting anybody. He's just looking to get on top of you, smash your face in, or maybe get you on the feet. With some of his heavy hands. But his stand-up is not that polished. His head's sticking up in the air when he's striking. He's a very green dude, very, very green. So I'm going to have to go with Arjun Buehler to win this fight just based on the fact that he's a more polished fighter. I do think this fight can go any way. I won't be betting on this fight because Juan Adams might come out and get on top of him, and just destroy him. Juan Adams is a Division I wrestler as well, so he might sprawl and, who knows, get on top and just destroy Arjun. And, by the way, Arjun did not lose his last fight. He won his last fight against Marcelo Gome. It was the fight before that he did get subbed. He did. And Marcelo Gome, he looked good. He pushed the pace, Marcelo Gome's not the best of fighters, but, Arjun pushed the pace in that fight, and he got a nice unanimous decision. So I'm going to go with Arjun to win this fight, but I will not be surprised at all if Juan Adams' size comes into play. And maybe he worked on his cardio. I wouldn't really expect that, though. This guy, man, I was just talking with him, actually. I just made a post on Instagram. He replied to me how his cardio's doing. He's a chill dude. He said he had to tune in tomorrow to see how my cardio's doing. And I think he's still doing the same old shit, eating Snickers, Cheetos, Doritos, throwing those extra large condoms in the bed, ready for an after party. But he might not be having the best of after parties if he doesn't take care of his cardio, because a guy like Arjun, he might capitalize on that. This isn't Chris De La Rocha, the 48-year-old. So I'm gonna go with Arjun Buehler. I think cardio is going to play a big factor in this fight. So Arjun Buehler to win this fight. The next fight, we got Kyle Nelson taking on Matt Robo Sales. I'm not going to spend too much time on this fight. I do not have a play on either of these guys. And these guys aren't really the most exciting type of fighters. Matt Sales does have some potential. He's smooth on the feet. Good cardio, really good cardio. Coming off a very tough loss against Shayman Moraes, where if he would have really pushed the pace like he did in the third round, that could have easily been his fight. But, Shayman won those first 2 rounds, so looked great on the Dana White Contender Series fight. Had a TKO over Yazin Hajai, who was undefeated at the time. That guy had some potential, or still kind of does, but he looked good in that fight. Kyle Nelson, this guy is not the most athletic type of fighter. Definitely has power in his hands, could finish the fight at any time. He's the hometown fighter, so he has that going for him. And he pulled off a few subs in his day, too, so he has the potential to finish this fight with a submission. I just think that Matt Sales is going to be a little bit more polished on the feet, and I think he'll pull this off. And I think this fight might be a little bit closer than the line shows, so be careful. I don't know if you guys, if you want to touch this fight, be careful with that. All right, you guys, keeping it moving. And again, I'm sorry I'm not doing the most in-depth breakdowns, but this card, I'm not the most fond of it, and I'm looking at one play right now, which I'm kind of just going through ironing a couple different details out. I do have one little play that I'm probably gonna be putting together, but I'm not the most stoked on this card, so excuse me if I'm moving through it pretty quickly for you guys. I know some of you guys like that. I know some of you guys like it to be short and sweet, but when we have some of the better fights, I'm gonna be breaking them down more in detail moving forward. But moving on to the next fight, we got Nordine Taleb taking on Kyle Prepolek. I believe Kyle's taking this fight on short notice. Canadian fighter. Nothing really special, man. 12-5. And he's definitely taken a big step up in competition against Nordine. The thing we got to watch out about Nordine, man, he's 37 years old, but I don't think this is the type of fight where that's going to matter, because Nordine's he's a fucking gladiator, bro. This guy's been around the way for a while. Tough veteran, on the Ultimate Fighter show. He's just he's a very professional guy. He takes his training very, very serious. He puts the fucking time in, takes care of his body very, very well. Excellent Muay Thai. And I think he's going to get a finish in this fight. I think, like I said, Kyle's taking a big step up in competition. I think this fight's going to take place in the feet, and I think Nordine's going to tag him up with leg kicks, body kicks, let his hands go a little bit, and just overwhelm this guy, Kyle. So if you want to throw Nordine in a parlay or something like that, it's there for the grabs if you want. I think Nordine, this is his fight to win. So, all right. The next fight, we got Vince Morales, Dana White Contender Series veteran, taking on Aman Sahabi, the brother of Faraz Sahabi, the famous TriStar coach, GSP's coach, a guy that's never really ever stepped foot in the octagon as far as fighting wise. He's a coach, but definitely has some mixed martial arts skills in himself. But it looked like he really went the avenue to use his brother to live vicariously through his brother and get him in the UFC. And I'm sure he's been training him up like crazy. So Amon shows some great potential. He's coming off a nasty knockout, though, against fucking Ricardo Ramos. And that was a fight that I had Zahabi winning, man. Amon Zahabi was bringing the pressure all in his face, just got a little bit overzealous and got caught with a spinning elbow, which is crazy, man. I highly recommend you guys go back and watch that fight because it was fucking nuts, man. Zahabi's just pressuring him. Ramos catches him with the spinning elbow. He's completely telegraphing it. I mean, Joe Rogan even calls it out, on the commentary. Hits him with the first one. So it almost gets Zahabi even more pissed. Might have been a little bit rocked too, so he didn't have his wits, fully to him. But he keeps going. He gets caught with a spinning elbow, and you would think you'd take a step back. He keeps rushing in, gets caught with another follow-up spinning elbow that just completely put him to sleep. So, the good thing about it is that he's taken ample time off to recover, let his brain, recover from a nasty incident like that. But I like Zahabi, Ayman Zahabi, man. I think this guy, when he's in there, he expects to beat anybody. You could tell he has that type of edge to him. So this is the type of guy, he ain't going to be on his back foot. You don't got to worry about him not showing up. He's going to bring it. He's going to push the pace, and he's going to step into that octagon expecting to get his hand raised. So, he shows great promise. He's very, very well-rounded, as you would expect. I mean, this guy, training at TriStar for years upon years. And then he's fighting this guy, Vince Morales. He's a wrestler. There's been times I've seen this guy, some of his fights, I've been watching them, where he really hesitates. He does hesitate. But then when he throws, he definitely puts a lot of power into his shots. So you got to be careful with that. I'm hoping Zahabi will be able to avoid any of those heavy shots and not get knocked out. And I think this is Zahabi's fight to win. I think it's his fight waiting for him. Just avoid the nasty knockout. And, I think he'll outclass this guy. So, yeah, man, the pick is Zahabi. All right, we're keeping it rolling. Let's go, man. We're slicing right through this card. It's almost happy hour on Friday, man. What else do you want, man? The whole weekend's upon us. Let's go. Before we head to happy hour, though, let's take a look at these two chicks we got fighting. We got the fat booty Serra Moras taking on Macy Chiasson, the Ultimate Fighter veteran, who's actually been looking fucking quite good, man. This girl's been finishing bitches left and right, has very heavy hands. You gotta love when you have a girl like this, watching a girl like this fight, man. She doesn't, typically a lot of these girls, they don't have the potential to finish the fight on the feet, And especially not power-wise. A lot of these girls, they'll try to out-volume you. Some of them have better technique. But this is the type of girl that will fucking crack you. And if you don't believe me, watch some of her fight footage, man. Look at some of her amateur fights, some of her beginning fights. She's cracked bitches in the face. I've seen them fucking go unconscious. So, tough bitch, man. Tough bitch. The line is crazy on this fight, though. I think at this point, she's almost, I think Macy's almost like a minus 750, minus 700. So, if you want to parlay her, I mean, I would say go for it. Some people don't believe in that shit, but go for it because I don't see Serra winning this fight, man. I just don't see her winning this fight. Macy also has very, very underrated jiu-jitsu game, submission game, and a jiu-jitsu defensive game. If you watch the footage, she's smart. She knows how to avoid arm bars, triangles. She stays away from that shit. And she has a very, very strong top game. So I think that she'll be smart enough to just completely stay out of Macy's guard and just don't even go, stay out of Serra's guard. And I think that she won't even go to the mat with her, and I think she'll just pick her apart in the feet. And as far as the fight on the feet goes, Serra has absolutely no chance. So... And Serra she doesn't even have good takedowns, man. She doesn't. She flops to her back. The majority of her submissions are bitches that were just fucking stupid, man, that just like fell right into her trap and, got armbarred or whatnot. So, and she does have a very good armbar. There's no question about that. I mean, she gets her legs up very quick. She snaps on the armbar very fast. I just think that Macy, she has potential, man, and I think that she's going to stay out of any type of submissions like that, and she's going to win this fight. I think she'll even get a TKO or knockout. She's going to finish this girl. So, but pay attention to Serra's ass, bro, because she has a fucking fat ass. So, you can check that cheesecake booty out. I think that's where she got her nickname from. I call her Cheesecake because she has a big old cheesecake booty. But yeah, Macy to win the fight. All right, we got some big boys. Walt Harris, the big ticket, taking on Sergey Spivak making his UFC debut, 9-0. Watched a lot of footage on this guy, whatever I was able to find, man. 9-0. He's done work with the guys that he's been put up against. Very confident guy when he's in the cage, man. He walks forward. He brings the pressure. Not the most polished guy, not the most athletic type of guy. But this guy, Sergey, they call him the polar bear. He really fights like a fucking polar bear, man. He clinches. He gets fucking strong takedowns. And again, not the most polished takedowns. He a lot of the time, he muscles his takedowns. But he does it kind of in an impressive way. This is going to be a little bit of a step up in competition against a little bit more of an athletic type of dude as well. But Walt Harris, this is a guy he's not the most accountable type of guy. So, he's unreliable. I wouldn't want to have my money on him. He's athletic. He has good hands. Not the best fighter IQ. He's had disqualifications in the past as well. He's an up and down type of fighter. All the guys that he's beat pretty much scrubs. So, I don't know if he's really proven in that sense. I mean, he's beat guys like Daniel Spitz, Cyril Asker, Chase Sherman, just bottom of the barrel as far as the light heavyweight division goes of UFC or ex-UFC fighters. I think you have to go with the potential of the polar bear. And I think the toughness as well. So I'll pick Sergey to win this fight. Probably go to a decision, but I think that I wouldn't be surprised if he gets some takedowns and really overwhelms Walt. I wouldn't be surprised. We'll see how it plays out, but I think Sergey will win this fight. All right, up next we got Andrew Sanchez taking on Marc-Andre Bouralt. This guy Marc-Andre is the newcomer, the local Canadian dude. Definitely has some French blood within him. With a name like that, Marc-Andre. Not the most impressive fighter from what I saw. Has a lot of close split decision fights on his resume, which I didn't like that. Even though he's 11-1, a lot of those fights could have gone either way. From some of the fight footage I saw, he's a little bit stiff on the feet. Kind of a well-rounded type of fighter. But nothing special from what I've seen, like I said. So Andrew Sanchez, a very polished fighter. This guy had a lot of potential at one point in time. He has some notable wins against guys like Khalil Roundtree, Eric Spicely, Trevor Smith. Heavy hands, very, very good wrestling. One notable fight maybe we should pay attention to was the Ryan James fight. That was a fight where he completely blew his load and just completely gassed out. So hopefully his cardio doesn't bite him in the ass in this fight. But I'll still have to lean with Andrew Sanchez to win this fight just based on the fact that, he's the UFC veteran. He's going to be more comfortable in the cage. I think he's a little bit more polished. He might be able to use his wrestling to just really just eke out a victory, get some good takedowns, and solidify a win. So if this guy Marc-Andre wants to prove to be anything special, let's see. This is the perfect opponent for him to do that with. So let's see what he's got. But I got Andrew Sanchez winning this fight. All right, here we go. This is a fight I'm looking forward to watching. We got Brad Katona taking on Merab Davashvili. This guy Merab, tough dude, Matt Serra product. This guy was on Dana White's Looking for a Fight show some time ago. It actually might have been one of the first episodes, one of the first couple ones. This guy shows some promise. Very good wrestling, good takedowns, tough dude. But then you got a guy like Brad Katona, undefeated 8-0. I like his fighter IQ. This guy takes fighting very seriously. He's only 27 years old. This is a guy that he could look better each time we see him enter the octagon. So great jiu-jitsu. Doesn't get a lot of finishes, but he does enough to get victories. I love that. This is a guy that you have your money on him for the most part. He's going to come through. Really, if you had your money on him within any of his fights, you would have won because he's undefeated. But I'm saying moving forward, this guy, I think he's the type of guy you're going to get the bang for your buck. He's going to show up. He's a tough dude. He's going to make sure he takes the proper precautions. He's not the type of guy that's going to make any bad mistakes, make stupid decisions. He has good hands, underrated striking on the feet. As I stated, very good jiu-jitsu. And this guy, Merab, this is a guy that puts himself in dangerous positions. This is a guy that wants to suplex you on your head, but he can give up his back at the same time. So, some powerful hands as well. I'm going to go with Brad Katona to win this fight. I think that his cardio will be a little bit better towards the end of the fight. I think that he will have the better fighter IQ, and he'll do enough to pull this fight off. I wouldn't be surprised if Merab was able to control him, get some takedowns, and maybe pull off a close decision. But I'm going to go with Brad Katona. I'm going to go with the underdog in this fight. I like this guy, Brad. I watched him on The Ultimate Fighter quite a bit, and ever since he's been in the UFC, so I've liked what I've been seeing. So Brad Katona, let's go. Let's get a victory right here. All right, in our next fight, we got a legend in the game in Cub Swanson taking on a guy that has potential to be a legend in the game. He's far from it, but he does have potential. He's a stud, Shane Burgos. Cub Swanson, this guy, what can we say about him? He's been around for a long time. I've been watching this guy since I was almost a young kid over in the WEC. He puts a lot of power into his strikes. He wings his punches. He's won a lot of decisions like that in the past. The judges used to love that stuff back in the day. Kind of like a Leonard Garcia type of fighting style. Just really winging your punches. Even if they're getting blocked, the crowd loves it. The judges love it. The game's changed since those days, but and really the game's changed for Cub throughout these last couple of years because he hasn't had a victory in the last 3 fights. Nevertheless, they were all against stud fighters, but still he hasn't won his last 3 fights. Lost to Brian Ortega, Frankie Edgar, Moicano. But even if you look at the guys that he's beat, he went on a 4-fight win streak before that, and it was all against scrubs, man. Artem Lobov, the GOAT, Duho Choi, Kawajiri. You got to go like 9-10 fights back before he even has a notable victory on his resume, which, don't get me wrong, he had notable victories. Dustin Poirier, Jeremy Stevens, Charles Oliveira, Ross Pearson when he was decent. But it's a whole different era now. He's 35 years old. And I think that Shane Burgos, he's going to have the youth on his side, the precision, the better technique with the striking. I like where he trains over there at Tiger Shulman. And I think that Shane Burgos is going to pull this fight off. I wouldn't even be surprised if he gets a finish. Shane Burgos he's a good fighter. He had a loss. His one lone loss was against Calvin Kattar, who was a stud of a fighter, has a lot of potential. And that was a fight that, it was going either way up until the point that he got TKO'd. So yeah, I think Shane he'll win this fight and he might even get a finish. So, but shout out to Cub Swanson, man, just a straight OG in the game. All right, we got Derek Brunson taking on Elias Theodorou in the next fight. Elias Theodorou, man, this is a guy, I was talking to this guy years ago, man, even before he ever entered the octagon, back when he started his career, man. This guy is a pompous little piece of shit, cocky dude. On his spare time, he's a ring guy for Invicta fights, so, kind of explains what type of dude this guy is. He's all into his hair and whatnot. And I don't have so much of a problem with that, at least if you could fight. But this guy, he's a trash of a fighter, man. He has good cardio, but he doesn't even bring it when he fights, man. He punches the air. He doesn't engage. He likes to fucking move around, circle, and he tries to win with his point style of fighting. I really do not like watching this guy fight, and I tried to be a fan of his. Being the fact that he's Greek, although he's Canadian, he's a Greek Canadian, and me being Greek, I try to root on my Greek fighters. But this guy, it was just too hard to even root for him, man. Extremely boring fighter. The only reason why he's getting put in a co-main spot right now, it's just the fight's taking place in Canada. He has somewhat of a name over there. He's from there. He's put a resume together of 16-2. So he's been winning fights, but the UFC, I guess they felt that they were forced to throw him in a slot like this, but he's not going to be entertaining. It's going to be a boring fight. But he's taking on a guy in Derek Brunson. So Derek Brunson's the guy that he brings it. This is a guy that he either finishes you or you finish him. So you got to respect him in that sense. Very heavy hands, not the best technique. He kind of keeps his chin up in the air and opens himself up to getting tagged. But he does have power in his own right. So if he connects, he's going to put you to sleep. Good wrestling, has a solid wrestling background. Shit, man. I'll be honest, I've been torn on this fight. Elias is going to have the home field advantage. It's going to be a close fight if Derek doesn't get the knockout. So you got to be worried about that. Elias is going to have the volume. He's going to throw those little pitter-patter punches. So, shit. I'm torn on this fight. I'll tell you the truth. This is the fight I would want nothing to do with betting-wise. My gut's telling me, though, Elias is going to do enough to pull off a very close decision, maybe even a split decision. So, yeah, I think Elias will probably edge this fight out. Derek's he hasn't been looking so good of recently. He's been getting finished a lot too. But against studs. So, yeah, we'll take Elias to win this fight, but, if I can, just don't even take my word in this fight. Just fucking scratch this fight. I just don't trust these guys. I like Derek, but like I said, I don't really know if I trust him over there in Canada. And I think, hey, the best case scenario, Elias gets slept. I would love to see that. Let's see this guy, this little pompous asshole, get slept. How about a nice left overhand connected right to his fucking perfect little jawline? That would be nice to see, huh? Sorry to all my Elias fans, but I'm just keeping it real with you guys. But all right, let's go. We got the main event. We got raging Al Iaquinta taking on Donald Cowboy Cerrone. I'm very excited to see how this fight's going to take place. Cowboy's been looking good as of recently. Definitely got to give Cowboy some credit. A lot of people thought that he was done. They thought that if you hit him to the body, he would fold up and he was just done. But he proved that not to be the case. He's had a little resurgence in his career, as I referenced in my last week's breakdowns when I was comparing Jim Miller to him. Cowboy's the type of guy, you put up a guy that's not up to verse him, that's not up to par, Cowboy's going to exploit him, take him out. It's not like he's just over the edge, he can't fight anymore. He might not be on that level against the top guys, but if you put a guy that's not up to par, Cowboy's going to take him out. And that's exactly what Jim Miller did last week too, as I stated. But, Al Iaquinta might be, he might be up to the challenge because the Raging Bull is a tough fucking dude. And you saw what he did to Kevin Lee in his last fight. So he's been looking better and better, as we've been moving along with him too. So this is a tough fight to call. I'm going to lean Al Iaquinta to win this fight. I just think that he has very heavy hands. I like his pressure, his wrestling. He can keep this fight standing. And I think he'll be able to corner Cowboy and really just start to tee off. And this is the type of guy that can take advantage of Cowboy's body, maybe. You know what I mean? If he cracks Cowboy to the ribs, I can see Cowboy folding, kind of similarly to what Till did to Cowboy. Would I be surprised if Cowboy continues to keep doing what he's been doing as of recently and starts to throw some beautiful knees and mixes up his Muay Thai and swings some head kicks up in there and outpoints Al Iaquinta? No, I wouldn't be surprised. And he can get a finish as well because this is the type of guy that, if he cracks you with the fucking leg kick, a head kick, you're fucking going to sleep. So, and he might crack you with even something that's, maybe not the type of strike that's going to put you to sleep, but crack you enough to wobble you and fucking sneak up top of you like a snake and slip on a submission. He might whack on a triangle, get an arm bar on you. Cowboy is a fucking OG, man. Cowboy, he can pull off a fucking victory in multiple variety of ways. So, but I got Al Iaquinta. I think Al Iaquinta is going to be the tougher fighter, man. You saw him against Khabib, the way his wrestling's fucking good, man. He's tough as fucking nails. He's not the type of guy that really gets put away, so you got to go with Al. And the line's close in this fight too, man. So for those of you guys that are also feeling Al, don't hesitate to put some money on this fight because the line is not that bad. So shout out to Cowboy too, man. Another OG in the game. Just as I said about Cub, these are OGs in the game, man. Every time you watch these guys fight, man, you got to appreciate it. Legends of the sport like these guys, man. Cowboys, the Cubs. You never know when it's going to be the last time you're going to see them enter the octagon, so appreciate it. But Al Iaquinta, I believe, is going to get the victory, so I think Al Iaquinta will get this win, and he'll keep moving his way up the ranks, and he's going to start getting some big fights coming up here. So there we go. That's my UFC Fight Night 151 breakdowns, fight predictions, bets. For those of you guys that want to know my play, contact me on Instagram, direct message me. That's where I conversate with you guys, and that's where I help relay the message to make money, man. I've been killing it. I've been fucking killing it. Check my Capper Tech. Check the amount of units that I continuously keep going up. You know what units translate to? Money. For those of you guys don't know exactly how that all works, man, do your research. You have the computer. Check out what a unit is. Do your research on the proper way of how to bet and how to make money and how the whole system works, because I'm the #1 MMA capper in the game, and it's proven. Go check the leaderboards. Go show me anyone that's doing it the way that I do it, third-party tracked. I need to see third-party tracking. For all you scrubs that want to comment on Instagram, little haters that have 20 followers, little fake accounts with one post, you know what I mean? You guys want to talk shit, let me, I could pick better than you, this and that, this and that. you know what? Show me what you're doing. Show me your track record. Show me your track record, because I'm the type of guy, I'll take underdogs, I'll take heavy favorites, I'll parlay them. I have my own little recipe for what I do, and my recipe leads to profiting major amounts of money. So major amounts of money, man. You guys wouldn't believe, if you see my Bovada account, you wouldn't believe the amount of money I've had in there, and the amount of money that I have as we speak, and what I've started with too. You know, I'm not the type of guy that likes to deposit a lot of money. I'll put a little bit of money in there because I know, you know, it takes money to make money, but I don't like to put myself out there too much, and I put a little bit amount of money in there, and it fucking grows like fucking cancer, man. So, grows like a fucking giant orchard. So, you know, for those of you guys that want to know the details, direct message me on Instagram. That's mostly where I do all my communicating on Instagram. So I have a Twitter account as well, but to be honest with you, I don't fuck with Twitter as much. So I'm an Instagram guy. But I'm telling you, any questions you guys have, any insights you guys want to know, what I'm thinking in more detail of a certain fighter or a certain fight, message me, man. I got you guys. I'll let you guys know. All I ask from you guys, man, just stay loyal, man. If you can help out, just hit the subscribe button, man. Like my video. I'm trying to pump this shit out there. You know, but that's all I can ask, man. Just keep spreading the word. Let your boys know about the teller. Let them know about the channel. And if you guys are listening, man, if you're listening to me and you're checking in every fight week, just hit that subscribe button. All it's going to do is make it easier for you. It's going to post it right up on your feed, man. It helps the teller out. It's much appreciated. I appreciate all you guys, man. So let's kill it this weekend. Let's make some money. Direct message me. I got one little play I'm working on right now. I'm just finalizing what I want to do with it. Checking it, looking at a couple different numbers and looking at a couple more fights within these couple different guys. So I got something brewing. So just send me a direct message. I want to finalize that. I'll let you guys know what my play is. I'll post it on Instagram as well. Follow me on Instagram if you're listening. Subscribe. I appreciate all you guys. I'm going to wrap up UFC Fight Night 151. Enjoy the fights. Let's go. Let's make some money, guys. Let's go.